Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is David Austin.
I'm Londa Sherwood Austin. Welcome back.
How are you this morning?
Good.
I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited about this program because I've been seeing weird messages on social media from realtors for the last several days, and I don't get it. Can we talk about that a little today on the show?
I guess.
The Session with Londa and David is a business program that focuses on the three things that are most important to us. Londa, what are they?
Restaurants, real estate, and retail sales.
And the reason those are so important to us is because everybody's got to eat.
And we grew up in restaurants.
We did.
Managed restaurants.
Everybody's got to have shelter, some form of shelter.
Sure.
And as licensed realtors and me, a licensed lender, that's very important to us. And then retail sales. Everybody needs stuff from time to time.
Yeah.
And so retail sales is a big part of everybody's lives.
Yep. And I coach around those are the three areas that I coach around.
Right.
That's the whole deal.
Okay, so I've been seeing a ton of weird social media posts and videos that I think are outlandish and goofy, and I kind of want to talk about it today on the program.
Okay.
And what I want to talk about is, what's the big hubbub about the middle of August and everything in real estate's changing? What is that conversation all about?
There isn't, and it shouldn't be a conversation for the general population.
Okay, and tell me what it's about. I don't understand.
Okay. In a nutshell, realtors are going to have to be just a little bit more transparent about how they get paid. And who pays them and our expectations of payment. And
just to understand, that's the result of a National Association with Realtors class action lawsuit about how commissions are paid, right?
Yeah. So I would say the people who need to hear this aren't listening to this podcast, but I would say if you're a realtor in the industry and you're talking about it on your social media, that's not smart.
Stop it is essentially what you'd be saying to them,
right?
Yeah,
stop it. Talk to the clients that you're sitting across the table from about it, but stop trying to educate the general populace on what's going on because you're so smart.
Right.
There's really not, honestly, nothing is different. We've always had to disclose how we get paid. If you were a good realtor who is a professional, you were always having this conversation with your client. I've always had this conversation with my client. So for me, the conversation doesn't change.
Sure.
There's some changes in our statewide forms that we use when we write contracts. And again, if you were having these very open conversations with your clients before, you're not really going to shift your language at all. So thank you. We don't need you to educate the general population on your thoughts about it.
It just makes things more confusing, right?
Yeah, and that's the problem is it's just adding confusion. So, just go on with life.
Yeah. The reason I want to talk about it's because I keep seeing these weird social media things that are about how hard doing real estate is now.
It's not.
And I don't believe it. And I think it's kind of self-defeating. You and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago here on the program about somebody needing a pair of shoes and going into the shoe station, and the kid selling shoes said, I don't think I'd buy Nikes right now because the cost of rubber is up.
Oh, yeah.
And wow, it's a rough time to be buying shoes. They're 22% more expensive right now. Ooh, shouldn't you wait until rubber comes down and shoes are more practical to buy? No, you have a hole in your shoes, you need shoes.
Right.
And any business where it's appropriate to tell your customer, don't use me because I don't believe it's a good time to use me, is a failing business.
Yeah.
That's a failing business.
It's I feel the same way about this that I feel about drama or or conflict between realtors, or, fill in the blank with whatever your industry is, right?
Right.
Why don't you just, this is what I tell the realtors I coach when they have a squabble between two of them. Hey, why don't you just go be so busy working that we don't have time for this?
Right.
And I feel the same way about the NAR settlement and the changes in the paperwork and perhaps the conversation. It's just not a big deal. I predicted this 10 years ago.
Right.
No, 8 years ago. I said within 10 years, we'll see these changes. I was told I was nuts.
Right.
I was 100% right on. Because I have this weird knack for, seeing trends, predicting trends. Mm-hmm. So I'm not at all surprised. I've been thinking about this for 8 years. And, the brass tacks of it is buyers may now have to have a conversation with their lender and all parties involved about their down payment cost.
Right.
Their closing costs.
Right.
And their commission costs to the brokerage.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. Sellers, we've always had the conversation with. Buyers, we've always had the conversation. I just don't get what the hubbub is. And it's not because I don't understand it. I do. I understand all the intricacies of it. It's just that I've been having these conversations all along about how I get paid and what I get paid. So and for me, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. And
if you're making it a big deal, shut up.
The National Association of Realtors Settlement just says simply, buyers have to be informed about how their realtor gets paid. That's essentially the moral of the story.
Yeah.
And if you're a business professional who makes commission money, you've probably already had this conversation with your clientele. Yeah. And so it's not a big deal, in my opinion. Now, I'm coming at it from being 20 years on the lending side of the equation, and all lenders do is talk money.
Right.
So now realtors are going to have to talk money, but not about their finances for their clients, but about how they get paid.
Right.
And that's really the only difference.
It's no different than this. So we, over the weekend, spent time with some of my former classmates that I graduated high school with. It was great.
That's right.
One of them owns a boutique.
Right.
And her boutique is high-end, gently used clothing. So it's like a resale shop.
Right.
And she does it on commission, right? So like Prada, Jimmy Choo, like it's high-end. So the conversation we're having with our clients is no different than the conversation she has with people who come in and want to consign their items.
Right.
I don't know what her percentage is, but let's pretend it's a 40-60 split.
Right.
Right. And she says, okay, you bring me your stuff. It's here for 90 days or whatever it is. And when it sells, I decide on the prices. And then when it sells, you get 40%, I get 60%.
Right.
And they either agree to it or they don't.
Right. It's that simple. And she talked about how she has people who are longtime consigners with her, and they have like loads of stuff that they bring in. Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense. The moral of the story is, and I don't know why I wanted to talk about it, but I'm just sick and tired of seeing people talking bad about the industry.
So this is something that
who are in the industry, not outsiders.
Yeah. This is something I talked about actually in the class I taught this morning. If all of your social media is filled with people in your industry, stop interacting with those posts.
Right.
You need to change the algorithm of your social media because it's not reaching the people you want it to reach. And let's use real estate as an example because that's what I do. If all I'm seeing on stories in my feed, let's say on Facebook, for example, is just other realtors, I got to change the algorithm.
Right.
By not interacting with them and go and specifically interact with other people in my world, because what's happening is the social media algorithm's getting too small. So when I put something out, it's just going to push it out to other realtors, which is not who I'm trying to reach. I'm trying to reach the consumer.
Right.
And so I would say if you're let's just use Facebook news feed for an example. If your feed is filled with conversation about this, begin changing the algorithm of your feed. Do not interact with these posts. Do not go. Every time you see one that irritates you, I want you to go find somebody who's not in the industry and interact with one of their posts.
I gotcha.
And over time, you'll change your algorithm, and then that you'll change both the target market that you're trying to reach and the ones that are reaching you.
Sure.
So, yeah, the unfollow button is a beautiful thing. The mute option in Instagram, beautiful thing. I don't follow a ton of realtors just because I'm running my race. I'm doing my thing, and I don't want to be influenced.
Sure.
By what they're doing, because I'm so focused on what I'm doing. Now, I do follow some realtors that, strategically, because I like what they do on social media. I want to see what they're doing. And so,
sure.
But by and large, I'm not looking for that information.
Okay.
And I'd encourage you to do the same.
All right. Well, let's get off this.
Okay.
I think it's much ado about nothing. And I'm
Same.
tired of witnessing people within an industry complaining about their industry.
Yeah, click unfollow.
You'll
still be friends. You just won't see their stuff.
I like to see people who are talking about what's great about their industry.
And everybody does.
You know
everyone
what I mean?
likes to be inspired. Everyone likes to laugh. Everyone likes to be motivated. We love feel-good stuff. Don't get caught in, the daily dippies.
It's exactly like years and years and years ago, I decided I wanted to follow a specific mortgage professional. His name's Barry Habib. And the reason I wanted to follow him and ultimately pay for his services is because he spoke with a business mindset about mortgages. Mm-hmm. And I went to a conference, and there he was. This was 18 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how lenders say things that are outrageous to their clients. And
okay.
This is what he used to say. Well, if I had a crystal ball, I know exactly what's going to happen with mortgage rates. And he thought there's got to be a more professional way to talk about how the mortgage industry works. So he decided to educate himself so he could talk about what he forecasts based on historic trends.
Right.
And I decided at that meeting, I never want to say again, if I had a crystal ball, I could tell you what's happening with the rates. And so I decided to follow people whose language was inspiring to me.
There you go.
Who could make my business better. And I recommend you do that in whatever business you're in.
Yeah.
And if it costs you a little bit of money, invest, because that is good for not only your mindset, but it's good for your language.
Right.
Because if you listen to people speak intelligently about your business, you'll be able to speak intelligently about your business. You do gain it by listening to it. It's almost as though you're gaining it through osmosis, but you're not.
Right.
You're actually learning it. It's just like listening to audiobooks. When you hear things in an audiobook, it goes into your brain. Mm-hmm. And now you have information that if you didn't listen to it, you would not have.
Right.
So I say surround yourself in your social media and in your business life with people who lift you up and give you a little bit of education with their words.
That's it. We're saying the same thing.
Okay, so what's up? What's next?
I don't know. This is your show, not mine.
Do you have a restaurant review nobody's asked for? Because a lot of people have said to me, David, in the past few weeks, we haven't heard any restaurant reviews that nobody's asked for. And I'd like one. So do you have one that you'd like to pull out? It could be good or bad.
Do you have one?
Well, I have a couple in my brain that I'm thinking about, but I'm curious to know where your head is.
Okay. Why don't you start and I'll follow along? How's that?
Okay.
Since you have a couple in your brain.
Sure. I've had 2 meals during lunch, during my business lunch time at Outback Steakhouse in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I want to tell you, both of them were beautiful experiences, but they were very different. One, I was in a very serious business meeting, and our server was spectacular. we're not chit-chatting today, David. We're going to work. And
read the room.
I read the room, and it was absolutely flawless. And the service was great. We got our stuff when we needed it, and called us by name, treated us like we were people they knew, but were not part of the equation.
That's great.
Excellent service. The other one that I had there in 2 weeks, radically different experience because the tone was different in the meeting. And the meeting that I was in was very personal and very fun and happy. So the service was different. It was fun and happy and a little more part of the experience. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Perfect. And the reason I bring both of these up is because the people at that restaurant can read the room, do read the room, and personalize the experience to me every single time. And I love that.
That's great.
I think that's cool. So that's a 10 out of 10, 2 times in a row in 2 weeks at Outback Steakhouse.
Tell us about KFC.
Oh, let me tell you something.
David, let her rip.
If I could set a building on fire and not get in trouble, I would burn down the KFC in Prosser. I would. I'm not gonna. Don't get me wrong. If it burns, it was not
Prosser,
me.
Washington.
But I purposely, on the way home, you were starving. We were coming home from your 35th reunion in Zilla.
Thanks for mentioning that.
Well, we don't have anything to hide. And we were coming home from that, and you're like, okay, I'm starved. I need to pull in and eat something real quick.
Yeah, because they had some food there, but it wasn't anything I could eat.
Right. So we pull into the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
And to be fair, I said, you pick.
Yeah, you
I'll
did.
Just find
you
something.
said I pick, and I picked something that I thought would be dependable and convenient.
Right. Should be the same everywhere, right?
Should be the same everywhere. We walk in. It's a Kentucky Fried Chicken and Taco Bell. So I decide I'm going to go crazy and have 1 soft taco supreme, crazy, and 2 pieces of chicken. That's what I ordered.
Ooh.
And I wanted crispy chicken because that is the product that I enjoy at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I do not enjoy original recipe.
Come on now.
I know that sounds crazy.
Lean into it a little, though, because you're being a little reserved.
Well, I'm setting the stage.
Okay.
So we walk into this restaurant, and the kid behind the counter was pleasant enough. I think she did a fine job. But you ordered, and she suggested a side dish that was agreeable to you. You asked a question that I thought was funny. You said, hey, does that suck, or is it good? And she said, oh, I wouldn't order it. And then you're like, well, thank you. So you got your order in for 3 pieces of chicken, and you don't have a preference as far as I know. Original, crispy, I don't think you have a preference. So she orders that, then I order my things, and then after I get done ordering, I ordered 2 crispy thighs and 1 soft taco supreme. And she rang it all in. And then she said, hey, we don't have any crispy. We just have original today. Is that all right? Well, no.
And it was like something snapped in your brain.
Yeah, my head
Bad.
exploded because we were both a little hangry. We were trying to get food. I didn't want fast food. I want to sit down somewhere, but I picked fast food that's less like fast food in my brain because I grew up in Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I know that it's,
Very long story short, it was shit. You lost your mind.
total shit. And then I ordered 3 pieces of chicken for you, 1 side dish, and a soda, and it was $17 hairs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, huh?
Yeah.
That used to be called a $5 snack pack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. The cost of, here's what's happening. We're eating out less and less and less and less and less and less.
Right.
Because the cost is getting higher and the quality is getting lower.
Meanwhile, the skinny, ugly chicken that you got, I didn't eat it. I didn't know how it tasted. I saw it and didn't think it looked appetizing at all. Was more money than the salad I get at Outback Steakhouse with steak on it.
Yeah.
More money for those 3 pieces of ugly old chicken.
I'm curious what everybody else is doing, because we talk a lot about what we're doing. Like, we're just eating at home more, and we kind of eat out in emergency.
Right. I have really
almost
business lunches.
Exclusively. Well, yeah, except work, right?
Right.
And then I try to, for work, just schedule coffees, not food, because
Right.
it just never works out for me. So, but I'm curious what everyone else is doing. So if you're listening to the podcast, shoot us a message. Let us know, like, how are you handling the whole restaurant scene where the prices are increasing, the quality and the quantity are decreasing, and what do you think about that? I want to know. I want to hear from people what they think.
I think that's good. And I do need to find other restaurants than Outback, but I
think
I do like it.
This is an opportunity for some restaurant to really surge.
Right.
And really kind of come to the front of the line, right? There's an opportunity here. I'll tell you, someone who's working on that is the Bradley Cocktail Bar in Richland, Washington. They're working on it, and I know that because we went in there the other day, and they've got a $6 French fry dish.
Yes,
that is delicious, a shareable, right? Inexpensive, super affordable, $6, and it's a big shareable French fry dish, and it's delicious.
Right.
So there are places that are like, I can see by their menu and the changes that they've made and the different things they're doing, that they are really trying to be strategic about kind of pulling ahead in the race.
I think a lot of national chains are doing things like that. I saw a story the other day on the Today Show, of all places, that talked about how fast casual restaurants right now are offering lunches cheaper than you can buy at McDonald's and Burger King.
Here's the problem that I have with that. The quality and the quantity sucks, and so does the service. The service is terrible.
Oh, well.
Most everywhere we go, the service is just garbage trash. And I do have high standards. I'm willing to admit that.
Sure.
But shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I look at it this way, and maybe this is an odd way to look at it, but when I walk into a restaurant, from the moment I walk in, they're working for me.
That's true. That's true.
It's the same way I feel about when I go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
The minute I walk in there, they are working for me.
Right.
So, I think it's okay to have high expectations. And anyway.
I don't disagree. We had another wonderful food experience a week ago when we were in Spokane.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Churchill's.
Okay, yeah.
And had a beautiful dinner in their bar in the basement. And that was delightful.
Yes.
And
I ended up getting really sick from it, but that's neither here nor there. That's my own fault.
Right. You had some of something that had garlic in it, but it
was
wasn't
cream
their
based.
mistake.
It wasn't their mistake.
It was something I ordered, and I shared it with you. And that was a mistake for me. I should say, no, you can't have any of mine.
No. Yeah. Slap my hand. Yeah. So there you go.
All right. What else? What's going on?
I don't know. I'm super excited about these changes in the real estate industry because I think there's an opportunity to excel.
Yes.
Anytime there's I'm a disruptor, right? Like, that doesn't scare me.
Right.
So I'm excited because I know that anytime there's disruption in an industry, there's nothing but opportunity.
I fully agree with that.
Look for the opportunity. And if you are a realtor and you are struggling with this change and you want some help through that, then I do coach other realtors. I've coached business people for 22 years. I've specialized in real estate for the last 8. And so if you need some help, give me a call. Let's book a session together and get you through some of this and get you onto a path that is inspiring for you. I said to you last week, I was like, what did I say? Am I depressed or am I just uninspired?
Yes.
And the answer was maybe a little of both. But get out of your head.
Right.
Get out of your head. Get out of that thought process. Do whatever it takes to get out of it. Maybe you need to, for me this weekend, I completely cleaned and reorganized our house.
Right.
I moved stuff around, made the space more workable, more doable for me. And I'm thrilled out of my mind. I'm like, okay, now I can function, right? I did the same thing in my office when I came in this morning. I started reorganizing it, and sometimes you have to just reorganize, reprioritize, refocus, it's all about the re.
Right.
Do all the re's, right? Refocus, repurpose, reorganize. Just, it's up to you. I talked to someone this morning who is a person who gets very much in their head about things and starts spiraling really bad. And I'm like, hey, it is up to you how you feel about this, how you think about it. Put your face in a bowl of ice water if you have to.
Right.
But snap yourself out of it. And let's look for the opportunity. How can we make this work? How can we make it better? And even in the 3 different industries that we talk a lot about, retail sales, are down. Restaurant sales are down. Cost of goods are up. We get it. There's this huge, big shitstorm in real estate. We get it. But where's the opportunity?
Right.
Because the opportunity is there, and the people that succeed are the ones who pivot quickly and who embrace change and move on into the opportunities. So that's what I've got.
I think that's great. And, getting back onto this National Association of Realtors settlement, the reason it's so exciting is because commission is now less of a conversation between the seller and the buyer's agent. That's exciting. Why? Because you can ask for whatever you want to ask for. I mean, how exciting is that?
I don't want to get too far into that.
We're not gonna, but it's exciting. It's like the Wild West.
There's nothing but opportunity in front of you, and if you can't see it, give me a call.
There you go. And somebody can call you by calling 509-491-2663.
Yeah, but just Google my name. My phone number's everywhere.
Yeah, but everybody doesn't invest long periods of time in us, right?
Sure.
There may be a casual listener who doesn't know that I'm David Austin and you're Londa Sherwood Austin, and this is the session with Londa and David.
And I will tell you, let's take just a moment to tell people how they can find this podcast.
Okay. That's great. You can Google search The Session with Londa and David. There are a million The Sessions, but there's only one The Session with Londa and David. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Spotify. It's everywhere. So go into your little googly thing
anywhere
on your phone.
You listen to podcasts.
Or just Google.
Yeah.
The Session with Londa and David. You can ask your smart speaker to play The Session with Londa and David, and guess what you're going to hear? You're going to hear the theme song. Yes.
Yeah. You can also, if you Google it, Google's free. Everything's there. The Session with Londa and David. And if you'd rather watch us interact, then you can watch it on YouTube as well.
That's exactly right. Yeah. It's the easiest thing in the world to find, and it is one of the top 150 business podcasts in the world, which is pretty cool to say out loud.
Yeah. There you go. I don't know what else to tell you. That's all I've got for today.
Okay.
Knock it off.
I think
get over it. Get up, move forward.
To quote Mateen Cleaves, who is kind of a motivational speaker, get your mind right and keep your grind tight. I mean, that's the moral of this episode.
I got nothing else to say.
Get focused, get excited, and get productive. For Londa Joanne Sherwood Austin, my name is David Austin. And again, this has been The Session with Londa and David. We'll see you again next week.